Hi, and welcome to the You've Changed podcast. My name is Kate Barron. This is the podcast where I talk to people in the entertainment industry about moments in their life that have changed them. And today I have the amazing, hilarious, talented Jamali Maddix.
What's up?
Yay. I'm so happy to have you on this.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, and I'm not saying this is like you should be happy I'm here, but I'm not doing a lot of podcasts anymore.
I know you don't do a lot of them. I know you don't do a lot of shit like this because I feel like you just can't be bothered. You can barely be bothered to finish your fucking club set when you're getting paid to do a full 20 at a club. This is what you give me anxiety. If I'm hosting a show and you're on it, I'm like, well, I can't leave the room. I can't leave the room when Jamali's on because if some white woman, if some white lady speaks out against you, you might just go, I'm not in the mood for this and walk off the stage, which has actually happened.
You know, I only do that. I used to. I don't do it anymore. But I used to. I mean, it's
How
rare.
long is used to? Like 4 months ago?
No, it's been like since I used to do it a lot.
Yeah, okay.
But
I've only seen you do it like twice.
And I only do it when someone's being rude and the rest of the audience are like, no, she's fine. Then I go, all right, none of you get comedy now.
Yeah, that's true.
And
if they're all on the gross drunk person's side.
Yeah. And I have done it though. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, no, I know you've done it because I've been running into a room as you're already off the stage at the back, and I'm like,
I try not to do it anymore. I do it is though, and I know it sounds like I don't get into like wanky comedian talk here.
Yeah.
But like I'm very different to how I am up there than I am off stage.
Yeah, of course.
So
we all are though.
I do stuff up there and then I come off and go, oh, I shouldn't have come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I do that all the time. I get carried away and you just get in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, especially if like an audience is kind of egging you on to do shit. And I get carried away with that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I go, I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, the reason I don't do a lot of podcasts, I kind of don't like so much to be out there of me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it's just like, I feel like now we just put so much.
Yeah. I think you got to hold shit back for yourself.
And no one needs that much content. And the thing is like I get too much. I always say something on a podcast that I regret saying.
Okay.
And I sit down and go,
I'm excited for this now.
Yeah.
No, but I'll edit it out if you fucking...
Yeah. And I'm late. And I guess I'm a bit lazy.
Are you lazy? I don't think you're lazy.
I'm lazy. I think you're someone who want to do.
Yeah, but I don't think that's laziness. I think that's being able to be selective.
Yeah.
And I think also part of you being selective is like I feel like you make smart decisions about who you are as a comedian and what you want. Like as much as you don't want to say like your brand, but like it's like your brand, right? What you want to put out there and the type of stuff you want to be associated with or a part of. And I think that's fine. I don't think it's laziness at all.
Yeah, I've done so much rubbish.
Well, we all have,
and it's just like I just know the feeling I have about it once it's over, and the fear about it coming out, and the
embarrassment.
But I'm here.
You're an artist,
and I'm happy to be here.
We're all just trying to do it.
When you asked me, I said, "Of course I'll come."
Yeah, it's because I love you.
Yeah.
So how are you doing generally? How's life? How you feeling? How's your heart?
Okay. Do you know what? I had a weird day today.
Why is that?
I just had a really sort of difficult work interaction, I think, and I just kind of put me in a weird mindset. I feel in general fine.
Yeah.
I feel like it's at that weird stage because it's sort of towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of tallying up the whole year.
What have you done? Reflecting.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm 2-1 down.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like if it's like scores in life, I feel like I'm 2-1 down.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's the greatest year I've had.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have actually had a really shitty year.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are really, I don't know, just feeling weird and like, especially in our industry, there seems to be something going on.
Yeah.
And like, there's just people feeling like a bit bummed out. And I'm somebody, I don't know if you're like this, that I really like, I get affected by other people's energy. That's why I like being in loud, crazy clubs because that amplifies my energy. And I really like that. But when I'm around other people who are really miserable and down or like really negative, I just absorb it all and it really affects my mental health.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good at separating.
I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, see, I would say I'm empathetic. Yeah. But I'm good at like, you could tell me something and I go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that and talk to you. And then once we're done with that, I can't.
Eating a burger and chilling.
Yeah, I don't take that home with me. So I try not to. Sometimes it seeps in. I think, I think being an empathetic person, you're going to kind of hold on to some of it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better as I get older to try and be like, okay, cool. I still have to exist
Yeah.
amongst, even though I've just seen that or heard that or felt, you know what I mean? So
I think as I've gotten older, the best thing that's happened with me is like I used to be really black and white on stuff and be like, this is wrong or this is right, or just be like very hard line on shit and opinionated. And then now as I've gotten older, I'm like, there's a lot of gray zone and life is a lot of nuances and people are complex and people fuck up and make mistakes. And I feel like I'm a lot more forgiving of people or more understanding of like, we're all more or less trying to do our best out here and everyone's just fucking trying, man. Giving people grace.
I think as you get older, you do. And I think when you go through stuff, you realize, everyone else is also dealing with stuff, and how they react sometimes isn't a reflection on you.
Yeah.
And I think it's, that's hard to deal with at first when you go, he's being, he's being like this or they're being like that. And it's like, it's because they have an issue. It's not, you're not an issue.
But it's that main character syndrome.
Yeah.
Where like you think you're like the lead and everyone else is side player.
That's the weird thing. I think in your life, you should kind of feel like you're the main character.
Yeah, you should. Oh my God, could you imagine if you felt like the fucking side character in your own life? Like,
I bet there's people that feel like the extra.
Yeah, 100%. But they're at like the bottom of the river now. But what I find crazy is that I was watching some like, I don't know, whatever. It was like a stupid dating show last night. But it was, because I love that shit. I love like trashy TV to like tune out.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because there was this guy and this girl who had been sort of casually hooking up or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were telling the same story from the same event, but on different cameras. And he was like, it meant like this. We had this connection. It was like this. She came to me in this moment of need. And she's like, look, my boyfriend had just cheated on me. Like I was a bit drunk. It was what it was. He was there. And afterwards I was like, I probably shouldn't have. And they had two completely different recollections of what happened. And I was like, I find it so interesting because there's always that whole thing of like, there's three versions of anything that happened. There's yours, theirs, and the truth. And like the truth usually falls somewhere in the middle of what it is, but your perception is your reality. And I find like that shit is fascinating to me.
Well, it's also like when they talk about eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
And they sort of go in depth about it, and they say that like, your perception of what happened will change.
Yeah.
Like just in your brain, it will change. Especially if you've seen something quite horrific, it will just change of what you saw happen. And I think sometimes as well is I try not to get too bogged down. Where if I really fell out with someone, I try not to get too bogged down now of how I thought the events went. And I do try to be empathetic. It's hard, but I do try to be empathetic to go, okay, but I wonder how they see it. Because I feel like I always have been, but I'm more saying now. And I think before my self-analyzing was anxiety. Do you know what I mean? Like I would think so much about things that it just took a form of anxiety, where now as I've got older, I'm better at thinking about my actions and my behavior and my thoughts and all of this in a much more healthy way, where I think it's hopefully making me a better person. Yeah,
and I heard the thing for anxiety, the best thing to do is like, because I'm an overthinker too, but I often think stuff that's like maybe not necessarily true, and so you're supposed to ask yourself like, how is this true? Like, how do I know this to be true? And if it's not, but you're interpreting it like that's how you feel about it, but it's not true, you can't see that as fact. Like feelings are not facts.
Yeah.
So you just have to interpret it, and then it's like this whole big thing of if you have anxiety and overthink, you're supposed to be like, believe someone if they say you're cool. So if like you thought I had a beef with you and you approached me and then I was like, no man, we're cool. You go, okay, you said it, so I'm not gonna overthink it anymore. We're just,
Yeah. Do you know what really boils down to is life is hard.
Man, fucking
it's just fucking hard, isn't it?
Fucking hard.
It's the hardest thing. It's that weird thing. You never asked for it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm here. I'm not gonna fucking top myself. But it's like it's that weird thing of I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
And then I just
blame
have
your
this.
mother.
Yeah, but you just have it.
Yeah.
And then now I've just got to like pay tax. Like what? What the fuck's going on? Like it's just that weird. Yeah, fucking complicated, isn't it?
I heard the best quote the other day, and it said, "Life would be easy if it wasn't so hard."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck, it's so good."
Yeah.
Not my quote, but it's a good fucking quote.
It's fucking difficult, man. It's just, and I feel like I've lived a long life, even though I'm only 32.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not.
No. But I feel like I've lived a long life. Like I feel like I've
or like a full life, full of a lot of.
Full just in the nature of like I was able to do things at a young age, and a lot of things, like I was able to travel the world. I've been able to, from certain jobs I've done, I've been put in situations and seen things I would never have seen.
Anything you regret seeing?
I don't know about regret.
Do you believe in regrets?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the idea of like I regret nothing, no, I think there's some stuff I've done
Yeah.
That I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I won't ask you about
that. No. Yeah. The only reason I won't say is because it involves...
Of course.
Someone, other people, and I don't know if they want me to put that business out there, but...
No, I feel you.
There's definitely things I regret. In terms of the experiences I had, I think the only person who ever did get affected by it was me. So I maybe have some level of regret of myself of being like, I should have said no. I shouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean? I should have not done the show. I should, But in terms of I got to see some stuff that I was at the Women's March in DC. That was one of the largest gatherings. I was there. I was there at the Trump inauguration, which not a good thing, but it was a moment in history.
Of course it was.
I've got to see that firsthand in person.
Yeah.
I was there at the Charlottesville riots. I was there at the Berkeley riots.
Oh, I didn't know you were there.
I did a short lecture at Berkeley University. I got to do all these weird things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sort of see all these things. And it's only when I came back, only years later, that I was like, oh shit. My uncle said it to me. My uncle was like, if they take it all away from you tomorrow, they can't take away the things you've done. That's always going to be done.
Yeah.
And you've got to do them things. I was like, oh shit, yeah, actually. Do you know what I mean? And I definitely, actually that's going to be the thing later, so let me not say it now, but I definitely try to be there now. Because there's been moments where, I remember one time I was doing Australia, and we was doing you do the gala, but it was at the Opera Sydney House, the Sydney Opera House. And I remember we were driving in, I was just on my phone, and my agent was like, don't you think this is amazing? And I was like, it's only after years later I was like, oh fuck, I actually got to do something that's an iconic venue.
It's worldwide iconic.
It's iconic because whenever there's an alien film, it's one of the things they blow up. Do you know what I mean? And I got to be there, and I got to be on that stage, and whether it was 10 minutes or an hour, it doesn't matter. I was there, and I didn't at the time. I didn't care. And
you got to be in that moment and live. I'm guilty of that too, because I'm always thinking, okay, well, even if something good is happening, I'm like, okay, but that's done now. So what's next? What is coming next?
Yeah.
What would be your dream career opportunity to get that you're like, oh my gosh, if I could do that one day? Would it be hosting your own show or having your own? What would it be?
It just changes too much, man. I remember when I first started comedy. This is I was open micer.
How long ago did you start comedy?
Man, I started. I did my first show young at 16, and then
I have so much respect for that. I had no balls to do that. I wanted to do it.
I did one show, and I never did it again. And then I started doing it at 19.
Yeah, it's young still.
And I went full time at 23.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was at full time at 23. But also the question was what? When I first started, when I was 20, 22, 23. I had a meeting with my agent. This before I signed with them, and they were like, "What's your dreams? What do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?" And I only had one dream. My one dream I ever want to do is I wanted to play Amsterdam Tumblr.
Okay.
That was my only dream. That's what I thought. Because for some reason, I just had in mind what Amsterdam was, and it was quite juvenile.
Yeah, but at the time,
I was 23. And that club, and I used to watch all the specials that Doug Stanhope and fucking all these guys did these specials there, and it just had something there. And then within the first 2 years of comedy, I did it. And then maybe 3 years later, I sold out 2 shows.
Yeah.
And it's funny how I remember, and sometimes I have to think about that. Oh, that was the only thing you wanted. And then what happens is you get into the business, and I think it's a mixture of your own, I think it's age, I think it's other influences of what people tell you want.
Yeah.
No, you want this big bag of money, you want this, you want fame, you want this. Really, honestly, if I can be completely honest, I want to be a certain level of comfort.
Yeah.
In terms of my lifestyle, in terms of my personal life, comfort. And, I'd say just be able to be creatively free and having people wanting to watch it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's if it's a tour, or if it's a movie, or if it's whatever, it's just having a group of people willing to watch it and watch
back you and
support you. And whether that's, I've never really had dream of I want to be able to sell out O2. I never really had that. I don't think.
But I know people whose dreams like aren't necessarily that. I remember talking to Axel Blake and like talked to him not that long ago, and because he sold out some big shit, right? And he won BGT and all that stuff.
He's doing great.
But like he's doing amazing. But his big thing always in growing up here was to do Leicester Square Theatre because that was like iconic to him.
Yeah.
And even though it's not the biggest venue he's ever played, but that meant a lot more to him like emotionally.
Yeah.
So I also love that kind of stuff because I'm a bit like that with stuff where I'm like, there's certain places like there's a this theater called like the Vogue Theater in Vancouver. It's where I grew up, and it's like I think it's like a 1,200 seater. It's not a massive thing, but that would be like I would love to be able to sell that out one day. Like that would be, and it's not a fucking arena, but to me because it's like this iconic venue where I saw all these bands play and like you know it's this cool old like kind of rundown historic theater. But I would love to do like a gig at the Vogue Theater, do a show at the Vogue Theater, and that because it means more.
Yeah.
So I get it when you're saying that.
Yeah, because I think the moments I've ever, and I've had, you know, I haven't had. I think it's all about kind of perspective, and I think the thing about comedy which makes it the hardest thing in terms of I think in terms of being content with my colleagues and myself as well, I'm gonna put myself in it. It's hard being content because there's no real. You're a footballer, winning the World Cup is, I don't watch football, but that's like the the heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
You can't be more than the heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But there's no real. Like I would say, Stuart Lee and Kevin Hart are both very successful.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different spectrum of. In terms of like, you know, size and, you know, stuff they do. So.
And is it like commercial success, critical acclaim?
And I think
because there's comics who are fucking great, but they're like comics.
Yeah,
they're like we love and appreciate them, but the general public will be like, who? We don't really know.
Yeah, so I think, you know, I think the point I was trying to make is like I don't quite, you know, I don't think I want to be completely the, you know, biggest thing in the world, but I still want to be. You know, I still have things, but it's like it's hard to then be content with what because it's always on to the next thing. So I try to be a bit more like, okay, you know, happy because I've got to do the Tumla. You know, like I kind of got to do it, and it's like, you know, I remember my happiest moment. So the point I was trying to make is like I've done things, and again, not the biggest things in the world, but I've done. You know, I did Live the Apollo, I had the TV show, I did this, and. All of that didn't make me as happy as doing 150 feats in New York.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
remember that happiness flooding me when I walked on that stage and it was 150 people, sold out show in New York on a Friday night. Like that for me was...
Because that's iconic.
It's just
for a stand-up, that is like... That's where it is, right? We dream
stand-up, but definitely, like, I think out of everything, there's other stuff I like to do, and, you know, I like to do like, acting and all that stuff, but I like stand-up. Like, stand-up's the only thing where I go, whenever I think about what I'm going to do, stand-up's never a thing of like, okay, I'll just stop doing stand-up for 5 years. Like, it's never...
Yeah. I can't imagine stopping it now that I'm in it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for so long that I just was like...
When did you start?
I started when I was 32.
Oh, damn, okay.
So I didn't start...
It's weird that's sort of seen as starting old.
But it is, because everyone I was coming up with was like 23.
I'm saying 32, you're a young person.
I know. In
terms of just business, it's just you kind of go... Like, if someone starts at 28, you go, oh, you started late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know, but it is weird. But then you're coming up with people who are like, you're like, yeah, man, but I got to go to work, pay the bills. And like, I work part-time at Bath & Body Works and I live with my mom. And you're like, fuck me. Okay,
that must have been quite difficult then. Because I guess you had a full-time...
Yeah, I've always had a full-time gig.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting, too, because it's like, I had such... Like, I wanted to do comedy from when I was a kid. And my parents remember when I was like 10, 12 saying I wanted to do comedy, but I never had the guts to do it. But then I see people who started really young and I go... Their comedic voice is very good. They're very good writers. There's a girl back in Toronto who was always so smart and her writing was amazing. The problem was she hadn't lived. So audiences would go out and see her. You think some 40, 50-year-old couple who's paid for a babysitter and stuff wants to hear what a 19-year-old has to take on the world. Like, not many want to hear that, right? Some hot take. So I feel like by the time I started, I actually had shit to say, and I had lived a bit of a life, and I had gone through some stuff, so I had like a voice. And I actually don't think I would have had that had I not gone through all this shit in my 20s.
How was it socially?
It's weird because I started when all my friends are like settling down and having kids and doing that, and then I'm like, well, I'm out at clubs, I'm gigging, and whatever.
I'm saying like all of your contemporaries are like 19.
Yeah.
So it must be quite...
I have loads of friends who are so much younger. I don't always clock it, but then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, we're so...
Yeah, because when I look back on it now, and it is odd. Like if I was my mum I would be like, wait, what? Like, because you're just hanging out with such a variety of ages.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, when I was open micing, there was a guy who we used to roll around with who must have been in his 40s.
Yeah.
And, it's like, and I didn't think of it then. I'm like, oh, you got this 40-year-old dude just hanging around with a bunch of 20-year-olds.
It's weird.
And it was like kind of, I do kind of look back on those days. Like, there was something fun. There was something fun about being 20-something. None of us ain't got shit going on in the business.
Yeah.
None of us have any. None of us have any opportunities.
Yeah.
And we would sit on we'd sit on stairs in central London. Like, we would sit on Liverpool Street to like the early hours in the morning just chatting shit. And none of us had shit to do in the morning. We're all broke. Yeah, I'm saying.
But I kind of love it. Those are the good old days.
It's kind of fun, man. Like, I remember it used to be like Tim Renkow. We used to hang out with like Tim Renkow, used to be in Gabriel Booth and fucking Sam. We used to just fucking sit around for hours just chatting shit and
I love that.
talking like we all knew anything about comedy. You know,
I know, but that is what you do.
Yeah, of course. We're sitting there like we know the business. Fun days.
Well, lots has changed. So this is a good segue.
Mm-hmm.
So give it to me. What's something in your life that's changed, a moment or whatever, and you can be as deep or as light as you want, whatever you want.
There's been multiple moments, I think. Yeah. There's been multiple moments that have really, I think, changed. I think there's things that have changed my outer world. Getting my first TV show changed my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, starting doing stand-up changed my life. You know what I mean? Changed my outer world. You know what I mean? Having my first girlfriend changed my outer world. But I think, the things that sort of changed me inside are the sort of more pivotal moments for me. I think all that outer side stuff is a mixture of luck, a mixture of just chance, a mixture of so many factors. Where I think the internal stuff for me was the actual, how can I put it? The real palpable changes. I think like the first time I nearly died a couple times changed me a lot.
Okay, so tell me about that. The first time you nearly died a couple of times.
I've nearly died a few times, yeah. And I think it kind of, I've nearly died a few times. I think I've nearly died.
Do you mind talking about it?
Yeah, I spoke about it on another podcast.
Okay.
That's the only problem. I've been in a couple car crash, drink driver situations.
Yeah.
When I was young, when I was maybe like 14, 15.
Driver, passenger?
Passenger.
Yeah.
I was passenger, yeah.
It's such a crazy thing to do because I've gotten into the car with drunk drivers when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, teenager, whatever. And like, now I just think like, can you imagine how fucking dumb?
Yeah, crazy.
What a dumb fucking way to lose your life. No, I would never. To lose your life or like to hurt somebody else, like just the danger, like, is that worth it?
I remember there was
craziness.
There's one, and it's stupid. But I remember one time, I must have been about 16, 17, and it was my brethren who used to be a mechanic, whatever. I ain't gonna say his name. And what we would do is he would fix their cars over the weekend, but then drive it to the club. So he'd be like, I'm fixing the whip, but he's driving it to the club. And we used to be in the club with the cars and that, and he had this like BMW sports car, and we was on the motorway going like 140, 150, maybe 160. And I look at that now and I go, what the fuck?
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and then being with drunk drivers, so I nearly I've been in like a couple sticky situations with that, and I think that fucking, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's my mum calling me now. Like, what the fuck is you doing?
She knows you're talking about getting in a car with a drunk driver. She's like, what did you just say?
Yeah. There was that situation that really, and that for me, I remember really thinking about, it changed me in realizing there's consequences.
Yeah. Did you lose friends in those accidents?
No, luckily. I never lost a friend. I never lost a friend through driving.
Yeah.
Drink driving that I can pull off the top of my head. No, I haven't, no.
Yeah.
And it made me realize consequences, because even though I'm not, because I think my mindset was, well, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
And my mindset was the only consequence is trouble.
Right.
We get pulled over.
Yeah.
I ain't getting arrested. I ain't even driving. the consequence is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just didn't, I think, you know, even, and it looks so bait now.
Yeah.
Like me saying it as a 32-year-old man.
It seems so stupid.
It's stupid.
But like to convince a teenager of that?
Yeah. I'm talking about that as a young man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're a young man, a fucking boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like running around doing that shit.
Yeah.
That was quite an important moment for me.
Was that just sort of like a wake up call and made you try to be like, okay, I need to smarten up?
And I don't think, and I remember that in my mind, but I wasn't old enough to really perceive the message. Yeah. But I remember I think it made more of a subconscious change.
Yeah.
You know, then it did like a real big change. And I remember the last time I nearly died, I basically, long story short, I got measles in Bangkok.
Wow.
I was doing some shows in Thailand. And I got sick, went hospital. They said I got measles, and I was in quarantine for like 7 days. My lungs hemorrhaged.
Fuck.
So I was coughing blood, and the doctor said when I got there, if you didn't come, you would have been dead. Like, it was done. And one of the moments that really, I remember, it stuck with me for a long time, and it kind of really did change my perception on life was... because I never really thought about my own mortality, and it never really worried me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you die. And it's like I never really understood what the concept of death was. You hear, you're not. There was nothing bigger than that. But there was a moment when I'm laying on the bed, and I can feel myself going. Wow. I can feel it. And there's a weird moment where the best way to explain it is my eyes are closing, but I can't fight it. It's sort of like when have you ever had surgery? The anesthesia?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
And it's like a heavy, but there was no peace in that feeling. There was no acceptance. Like, there's no worse feeling of feeling you're dying and not being ready to die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though? And there was, you know, because you sort of hope there's a moment where you go, all right, let's see what's next. There was none of that for me.
But do you think that's why maybe, because I am a big believer in like mind over matter with that kind of stuff. And I do think like there's people who get sick and they just kind of roll over and just go, this is what it is. And they won't fight. And maybe because you had that fight and your youth and whatever, you had that fight to keep going on.
Fuck knows. Whatever happened.
Were you alone in the hospital over there?
Yeah.
Did your mom know about it?
Yeah, she had to come over.
She came over.
He had to come over and take me back because they wouldn't let me out by myself. But yeah, I think that moment, that was quite a big moment for me.
So what do you think now about death and mortality and how did it sort of change?
Really, honestly, like I think now I really hold on to I really try to, as much as I can, leave nothing unsaid. And leave nothing that I'm not willing to. It's like heat.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't want it if I can't leave it in 30 minutes. Like I think it's like that where I don't want to leave anything.
Yeah.
That I think what it changed about me was it really made me realize that you gotta really live life because there's gonna be a time.
Yeah. And most people don't expect to die.
You know, and you don't know when, unless you're on death row.
Yeah. Or you're like a million years old, but like even still, like
you know, and it's like, and you really got to hold on to it. I think that another moment was again. I think it was later on when I sort of like I had sort of done some stuff with my career, and I think it kind of ties in with the whole and it's sort of what I thought after that whole situation when I nearly died. And then I had sort of done stuff in my career, and you know I got to tour America, and I got to do all these things that I always dreamed about, but never thought I would ever do. And then as careers go, you know, a couple things happened, you know, COVID, and some of the stuff went away, and I wasn't doing a lot of the stuff I was doing before, and it was gone. And I kind of look back at it and I go, man, like that was the happiest time of my life, and I was miserable every second.
I think a lot of people have shit.
Do you know what I mean? And that was the happiest. Like I literally had the happiest time of my life, and I didn't enjoy a second of it.
Yeah.
And I think that part and parcel with the fact of I know I'm gone.
Yeah.
At some point, I don't want to be like looking back, doing the whole. I don't want to see the instant replay of the game of my life.
Yeah, man.
And see that I was on fire shooting threes. And didn't enjoy any of it.
Well, it's like that old saying is like, we're living in the good old days.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when we are older, hopefully if we are able to live till we're older, we will look back and this is the good old days. Like these are the old times people talk about. I think that's, I think it is really important. Especially, I think death really gives people like a wake up call. Especially I think when younger people pass away around you.
Do you know what? I had a friend pass away recently. One of my best friends died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You didn't do it.
Didn't I?
Or did you?
Or did I? I'm a white lady. I'm very powerful, you see.
Yeah, one of my good friends died. Like maybe a couple months ago. And there was quite a nice feeling because I'd seen her before, like a couple days before she died as well. And the nice feeling was there was nothing left unsaid between us. Like there was nothing left unsaid. There was no ifs and I should have said sorry for this and there was none of that. She knew I loved her. We were good. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think
that's rare.
Yeah, and that's such a relief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's been other people where I've passed away and I go, oh fuck, man, I wish I would have. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wish I would have said, even if it's like someone that weren't my closest friend. Yeah. It's someone that did something for me 6 years ago and I always appreciate it. I always want to go tell him, hey, you know what, thank you for doing that for me, man. And, you know what I mean? And I never did. But with that one, I was like, oh yeah, sick, you know. And I think death is kind of quite the it's quite a wake-up call in terms of that. And it kind of like, it makes you realize other things about your life. Yeah. You know? And
What do you believe in? Do you believe in like an afterlife or reincarnation or any of that stuff?
Do you know, I think that it's something that like, and again, it's not completely my intellectual property, but it's something that I think Brian Cox said it, where he was like, we come from like, the thing that we're made from comes from stars. And you know, and the Big Bang happened and we were created. And when we die, we kind of go back to the earth and we go back into the thing that we came from.
It's just like energy.
Yeah. And I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy with knowing that, oh, I just go in the earth and then my body decomposes and little bugs eat me and then that creates, and then plants get fed and then that plant then shoots seeds and
they do those natural burials now where you can be buried in like a plant bag or like a tree.
Give me that.
You feed the tree.
That's what my mom wants, I think.
Yeah, because you have that whole bit about your mom and you asked her about like how she wants to die, which is so fucking funny, or not how she wants to die, but how you want to bury her.
Yeah. She was burying me in the field like a dog.
Did she actually say that?
Yeah. Because we were talking about funerals or something. She goes, Jamali, don't worry about all that shit. She just bury me in the field like a dog, then go holiday. All right? I was like, Mum, I'm gonna bury you like a fucking dog.
Oh my god. Is she over dramatic? Is she like?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds a bit dramatic.
Yeah. That's my mum. But
do you have siblings? Are you an only child?
Yeah. I got 3 sisters.
3 sisters. Oh, is that why you're so nice to women?
I don't think that's a.
You do have a very gentle disposition about you. I mean, I don't know what you're like with like partners that you date, but like I feel like
I don't hit them if that's what you're trying to insinuate.
Unless they ask for it.
Yeah.
That's different. A little choke, a little smack. We like that. Whatever. But like you're like, you know, in this industry, you know what it is. Like it's not always the nicest thing for like women in green rooms with dudes or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've always had like this really welcoming, warm kind of like, I see you sort of as this like very philosophical dude. Like that's what I
don't know. I try my hardest.
You've never had, like there's some people that come in with not much, but they have the fucking ego like they're Chris Rock. And they don't even have the skills or whatever to back it up. And then just the ego alone makes me go, get away from me. But you've always been so low key about your shit.
Yeah. Because
confidence is quiet.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, and I think also there's a part of it where I know this can, careers are fickle.
Yeah, man. Especially this industry, it's like up and down.
Successful one day, not the next.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're going to see the same people on the way up than you are the way down.
Like, this is the thing that I'm trying to like impart on people is that like, if you're a dick on the way up, like it will go like this. And when you're down, people aren't trying to root for you, but those are the people who are going to catch you and shit. And like the people around us now, whenever I see a disgruntled whatever comedian, I always think, I bet you $100 he opens the next big club.
Yeah.
Because most of the clubs are run or open by comics who didn't make it.
Really?
Don't you think?
I honestly...
If you actually look, a load of the...
Do you know
Yuck Yuck's one of the biggest clubs in Canada.
I don't know about Yuck Yucks,
Yeah, it's a chain across Canada. Started by Mark Breslin. He was a comic back in the day.
Oh, really?
Right? Like a lot of these guys were like kind of comics back then. I know a guy who has a club he's sort of doing up north or whatever. Again, a comic who's not doing great, but he's trying to get a club up and going. And I just think that's the thing. So I'm like, you just never know, and you might be fucking gigging with someone who you might not think is all that, and they might be a commissioner for Channel 4 one day.
As well as like...
Not that that's the only reason you should be nice to them.
Well, it is. No, but like, I think as well, it's a fucking shit business. It's a hard graft. Yeah. It's fucking hard. It's fucking, it beats you down. It fucking makes you question your dream.
Yeah.
And do you need me being a cunt in the green room as well?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and I do, like, I love hanging out with comics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though? Like, before I go on stage, I don't want to talk to no audience member.
No, my God, that's like my worst nightmare.
I don't want to. I just want to. I could have a full-blown conversation with a comic about what did you do today before I go on stage.
Yeah.
But if you, a fan or a person in the audience, and you ask me the same question, it'll throw me off. It's just because I love comics, and so I don't want to fuck, and I know the reason we're comics is because we're kind of broken people anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So I try to have more empathy for it. But yeah, I try my hardest to be a good person. I don't think I do it all the time. There's times I'm grumpy. There's times.
Yeah, but we're all like a little bit grumpy.
Of course, and I sort of, there's been moments when I was younger. I did things where I really kind of, regret it. Or I really feel bad. There was one guy I actually apologized to from years and years and years ago.
Good for you for going back to apologize.
Yeah, I felt I needed to, and I really, and it was weird, it was funny because I always thought, I told a couple of my brethren and they were like, and teasing, but like, oh man, you soft, bruv, you know what I'm saying? And then there was one guy where it was like, you could tell he was like, oh, is it? Yeah, I kind of want to apologize to him too, because it's like we all have those thoughts, and it's just how much you push them to the back of your head.
And it's just ego that's stopping you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it means a lot to people, I think, when you can actually go back and just own your shit. Accountability, to me, is so fucking important. And I think actions and doing that kind of stuff just speak volumes, because like people can tell you, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a good person, I'm whatever. But like, I think my whole thing is like when people talk, they're just telling you who they want to be. But their actions show you who they are, right? So when somebody's talking, that's like, okay, that maybe like they might want to be like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm empathetic, I'm this, but what are they actually doing, right? And it's all easy to be like great when the good times are good and the money's flowing and everyone's having a good time, but like, are they there when shit hits the fan and you're down and out?
And it's also, what's your day-to-day? Because I think it's a day-to-day thing. I think it's like, it's how you treat your best friend and how you treat the guy at the corner shop. Like, I think that they're all important as each other, and I think we all focus on like, I'm a good friend to my friends. It's like, well, yeah, but you're shitty to the postman. Yeah. He's just trying to fucking deliver you have to be a cunt to him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think trying to be kind, it makes me feel way better than when I'm a cunt to someone who's a cunt.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean?
1,000%.
So when I am cunty to someone, because they're being a prick, I don't feel as bad. Because I kind of go like, oh, I'm actually trying to be kind. Yeah. And you're purposely not. Yeah. So fuck you then. You know what I mean? And I'm sort of more chill with just being like, well, fuck off then. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, you know what I mean? I can live with that, as opposed to, I think if you never... I think if you're just kind of not very kind to people, then you just think, oh, it's karma why I've been a prick to me. Whereas if you actually try to be. Yeah. And again, I'm not perfect. And it is that whole thing of like hurt people, which I know is that kind of whatever, but like most people who are like either deeply unhappy or miserable people, and you kind of have to feel a bit bad about them. It's like internet trolls and shit. Like they're leading unhappy, shitty lives in their fucking someone's basement or whatever. And they're like, they're not happy with their fucking lives. They're jealous of you out there doing this thing or whatever. And like, I am a big believer in that.
that. And like, I just think, but I do think, and this, I'm trying to write a whole new bit on this because people always talk about how Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. And I think I'm a fucking cunt sometimes. Like, I'm to the right people though. You know what I mean?
That's just because you lived there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's a difference between being nice and being kind.
Okay, yeah.
And I think being nice is something like you see in America a lot, right? Customer service, nice, hey, how are you? With a big smile, but they don't mean anything. They don't give a shit
but
about your answer.
They won't give you free food if you're homeless.
Free food, and exactly. They'll cast you out on the street, won't give you fucking healthcare or do anything else for you, right? But then like being kind, you don't necessarily need to be nice to somebody to be kind to them, I think. And there's a distinction there, and I want to talk about it on stage because I think...
Are Canadians kind?
That's what I think. I think we're kind.
Yeah.
Because I think we don't necessarily need to be nice. Because people are always like, oh, Canadians are so nice. But then people are like, well, I'm going to Canada, they're not that nice. But we're not fucking like licking your ass and saying I'm sorry every 5 seconds on the street like I think people think we are. But what we are doing is going, universal healthcare. Yes, pretty obvious. Everyone should have that. Rights, we should have that. We should do all that.
I only went to Montreal.
Nah, but they're French Canadians.
That's what I'm saying.
It's different. The French people are.
Yeah, and I don't think people were that nice or kind.
But they're French Canadians.
Yeah. No. I definitely see them.
Have you been to Toronto?
Never been to Toronto.
Oh, you'd like Toronto.
Yeah, I heard. I've only been Montreal twice actually. I like Montreal though.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool.
I had a good time.
Are you tight with your sisters?
Yeah.
So 3 sisters. Are you what order of birth? Are you?
I was born second.
You're second. Okay.
But I would say I don't see them often just because of my work schedule.
Do they live in London?
Yeah. Just because of my work schedule. 2 of them, one's young, one's like 18.
Oh, yeah.
And she's living her own life. And
maybe when she gets a little bit older, you'll become more like friends.
She fucking should, you know.
Yeah, of course.
25. Yeah, my oldest.
Do they come lean on you for stuff? Do you have to be big brother for sometimes?
I guess so. I guess if it is, it's not bait. Like, it's not, you know. I don't know. I try. I think for a long time, I think that's one of the things about this job that a lot of people don't understand is the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I haven't been to a family event in years. I haven't, you know.
Or like a nice dinner with friends on weekends, a birthday dinner.
I miss a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah. I think people don't get it.
A lot of stuff. So I think just from my pursuit of this career, I've probably not been the greatest sibling.
Yeah. That happens to me with like friendships when like I've literally gotten messages from people being like, "You're a bad friend."
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the youngest. So I have an older brother, older sister.
So I didn't think you'd be the youngest. Yeah, okay. Do they come to your shows?
Yeah, when I'm back in Vancouver and stuff, they come. If I gig there, they'll come and they'll bring their husbands and stuff, and they come and they're all big supporters and stuff. They're very, it's great. Yeah. My family is totally supportive of this and everything. I mean, they sort of like they're supportive, but also like, ooh, like, are we sure? But you know what it is.
Nothing once it becomes your job.
Exactly. But they're supportive, and we're really, really tight. Like we pretty much talk every single day and stuff, and I see them.
That's nice.
And everything. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's a sacrifice, and I think people don't get. And like, if you really want to make a go of this for comedians, like. At least sort of Wednesday to Saturday, you got to be gigging, you got to be done. So I just sort of resign myself to the fact that like I can't go to dinner parties and birthday parties and those kind of things. But in return, I've had people being like, "You're not a good friend."
Oh, really?
And I've been like, because I can't show up to certain things. There's things like weddings I would never miss unless I had a close call this summer where I was a bridesmaid in a wedding, but then I got a TV thing in Canada and I was like,
yeah, TV kind of trumps.
And it was my first ever TV thing in Canada and I was like, fuck. And then so I was like, well, I have to kind of whatever, but it worked out. I got there sort of by the skin of my teeth. I got to the wedding. I was able to do both. But I mean, it is hard and I think people just think, but you're just telling jokes, but they don't get like, this career is not easy.
I think family and friends kind of get it. And I think I was quite adamant about it. People just accepted it.
I think that's why people date people in the industry, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's definitely they understand and the schedule thing. And it's just who you're around.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really around, I'm mostly around people that work in the business, so I can understand why people end up dating people in the business.
Whereas most of my friends are like lawyers, accountants, that kind of job, so they don't get.
But a lot, I mean, every other job dates from work, I guess.
Yeah. It's just a bit of a weird.
Yeah. And they kind of understood it. I think my friends are kind of chill about it though, Like my friends were kind of like,
You have like old school friends you've been friends with forever, like your old boys.
Yeah. I got one friend that I've known since nursery.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I've got friends, and I don't see them often, but I've got friends that I've no fucking over.
But those good friends you don't need to see all the time, and then as soon as you're back together, it's just you fall into old
yeah,
bits,
and I think my other brethrens, they were kind of really, my brethrens especially were kind of like, oh, like, especially when I started doing telly and stuff, they're like, oh, bruv, like, yeah. Like, you need to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't fuck around smoking weed with us. Like, you need to, you know what I mean? It was mostly a problem when I was young, and especially when I was sort of that transition between semi to pro with girlfriends. That was hard. Way harder.
Dating is hard with this.
But the thing is, we're both kids.
Yeah.
We were both, 21. Yeah. So we're both stupid.
And were you good at knowing the line of like, I can talk about that on stage, I can't?
No.
There is like a thing of like.
No, I still don't.
I
still don't.
There's a thing of that like respecting all guys I always dated up until the dude I'm with now. Yeah. They've always like, don't talk about me on stage. I'm like, well, it's, you know what's not funny? Being a really great boyfriend. That's not funny. So do that and I won't fucking talk about you on stage. But if you're a piece of shit, then you know what I mean?
I like how you're bullying these men to be good boyfriends.
But it's true.
Don't get talk about good boyfriends.
Make me come, them. Buy me presents, be a simp, and then I won't fucking talk about you. That's just boring. The audience doesn't want to hear I'm in love with this amazing guy. That's why I don't talk about my boyfriend now, because he's like a nice dude.
No, it was mostly like, it's hard to explain. It was hard explaining to my girlfriend at the time, I can't go cinema with you because I've got to go whole for 30 quid.
Yeah.
Like, that seems mad to someone.
I know.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I have to go and do the show.
Have you dated people in the industry? No. Yeah, I think like you could do. Yeah, I've never dated a comedian either, but like I think it's like you could date in the industry, but maybe not like a comic, but maybe someone who works on film sets as like a makeup artist or something like peripheral. So they understand that crazy.
I'll date peripheral.
Yeah, crazy schedule. Like it's a crazy industry, but like not direct.
I get it.
It's too like shitty where you eat.
Yeah,
I've never gotten that.
No, it's never really been. And I'm quite like, I try to just be like, do the gig. Go home. I'm not, especially now in my older age, I'm not hanging out as much. Unless it's like I've got some friends there and I'll chat. And, you know what I'm saying? But
I'm like that too. I'm just like,
I used to be like, when I was in my younger days, like I remember we used to chill at Comedy Cafe on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we used to sit there outside, chill and drink and, smoke cigarettes.
Talking shit.
Yeah, but now I'm going on play Mortal Kombat and fucking eat a whole tray of cakes or something.
So you've gone through loads of change in your life, I feel like. It's so funny because you're someone who I would have loved to see the younger you to now, knowing you at this stage in your life, how the difference is from
completely
now.
different.
Yeah, and I can imagine. I mean, I was a fucking hot mess party girl. I would be the girl who would have been heckling you, screaming out, and you're like, I'm fucking done, bitch. Like, I'm off the show. And you would have walked out. I would have been that girl. I would have been the fucking annoying cunt in the audience. But so despite all of that change, everything, I guess, what is one thing in your life that you hope never changes?
Oh, one thing in my life I hope will never change.
I should have like thinking music on.
No, I'm sorry. That's
no, it's good.
Really
so I don't like to tell people this because
I'm glad you didn't.
I like their surprise answers. It can be whatever you want.
What's the thing I hope never changes? Internally?
Whatever.
I think internally, I hope that I never stop questioning everything, whether that be my own actions or, the world, whatever, and being curious. I hope I never lose that. I hope I never lose being curious. I hope there's never a stage where I sort of don't want to learn anymore.
I love that.
That
is so healthy, and critical thinking is so healthy.
Yeah, I hope that I still like learning. Like I still, I don't want to be that person where I think I never got along with old people for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's because why do old people? I think it's because they're like, I'm 80, so I know everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope that I don't lose that thing of like, willing to know that I've got so much to learn and sort of being curious, and I think that's one thing that I hope never changes for me.
I love that. It's like when you see older people and they're like in their 60s or 70s and they're going back to school or something. And I'm like, I just have so much respect for that.
Yeah. It's a waste of time, but you should do it.
Or like you see.
I mean, we're going to start a new career, yeah? Okay, bro. You're going to be a doctor, yeah? Okay. No, I get it, yeah.
My junior doctor, Barbara. She's here to see you today.
But it's just like, even just being curious. Like, I still like being curious. Like, I still, like, I'll be in my area, walking around, and there'll be a street I've never been down, and I always walk down it. Just because I've never seen it before.
I feel like back in olden days, if we were in like a weird movie about your life and you were like, I feel like you would be a philosopher walking down with like a pipe and like a big robe on and just like looking up at the trees.
Yeah, I wish I was
talking about stuff. Like that's what I see you as.
An ethical explorer.
An ethical sir.
Yeah, I don't want to be Christopher Columbus. Like I find something and go, I've got to murder everyone here. Like I hope that I'm like a guy and I just have a pipe and I go, oh, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I see for you.
Yeah. Like
I mean, there's weed in the pipe.
Yeah. I just want to be like, this is absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
And everyone's like, mate, you've been staring at a wall for 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to be like an old guy and there's just like there's like a bunch of trinkets and like animal skulls.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, I'm saying like weird things in jars.
Weird shit you've collected over the years. That they all have like a story of a moment in your life.
Yeah. Like
love that. You're amazing, man. I fucking love you. You know I have so much love for you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
I'll put all your socials and everything. Is there anything you want to plug or talk about?
No, I honestly just came here just to chat with you. I got nothing. If you follow me if you want. If you don't, that's fine as well. Thank you. Keep on listening to the podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye.